Only a few days ago, Australia and New Zealand announced a new travel bubble that will allow residents of both countries to cross the ditch without quarantining and without having had the vaccine. So why aren't we cruising? I'm Adrian, the Cruise and Travel Guy, and as always, thanks for watching and thanks for subscribing to my channel. If you haven't done so yet, please hit that subscribe button. It has now been over 12 months since the cruise shutdown commenced. The unprecedented move to pause an entire industry was deemed necessary, and I think most would agree was the right thing to do. In its infancy, there was very little known about the virus, and governments had small windows to act to ensure the safety of their citizens. Geographically speaking, Australia has always been in an advantageous position. We're an island continent surrounded by water, and therefore our border is pretty secure. This has, for the most part, allowed Australia to get to a position where community transmission of the virus is basically zero. Arriving at this point in time has allowed Australia to consider extending its domestic bubble of safety to our international neighbour New Zealand. From April 19th, Australians and Kiwis alike will be able to freely jet across the Tasman Sea for the first time since the border shutdown. Travellers will not need to provide a negative COVID test in order to travel to New Zealand and will only be subject to common sense health protocols that are not strictly enforced. Across Australia now, there is really only a semblance of social distancing when out and about, and masks are not required in public, so for the most part, it's life as normal. And on top of that, we'll now have the benefit of overseas travel. So where are the ships? Supporters and fans of the cruise industry have been calling for a local restart for months, and although some of us may have been a little unrealistic in our earlier expectations or hopes of a cruise restart, we're now undeniably in a position where further delays to an approval just seem nonsensical. Not only has cruising been established in unvaccinated markets like Singapore for months, but we're now allowing Australian and New Zealand residents to travel within our new safe bubble. Accordingly, Joel Katz, Managing Director of CLIA Australia, has called for the restart of local domestic cruising on the same basis that the TransTasman Bubble has been allowed to operate. He said, "We can safely bring those ships and their crew into Australia, initially to offer domestic cruising and then expand that across the Tasman. It makes sense, and I've mentioned this before, domestic cruising is really just an extension of the on-land environment. Assuming that all shipboard crew have quarantined as necessary and tested negative, and that cruise passengers have tested negative as well, then there is no logical reason that in a world where I can jump on a plane to Auckland next week, I can't jump on a cruise that same day with the same people I'd be sharing a plane with." I have no doubt that the government are a little gun shy when it comes to cruising. The media love a good cruise bashing session, and the Ruby Princess debacle was a tragedy of mammoth proportions. But this continuation of a ban on cruising seems to me to be politically motivated and not based on logic or science. Meanwhile, it's estimated that 18,000 to 25,000 jobs would be reignited upon the restart of the cruising industry in this country, and that should be motivation enough. P&O Australia have recently extended their pause in operations through to the end of July, fine. But what we need now is for the government to make it very clear what they require in order to get this industry restarted. CLIA and its member cruise lines have worked extremely hard to prepare a rigorous set of health and screening protocols, and frankly, I would hazard a guess that a cruise ship is going to be a cleaner place than your local shopping mall. Unfortunately, I can no longer logically answer the question, why aren't we cruising yet? Feel free to leave a comment below. Thanks for watching. If you haven't subscribed to my channel, please do. You can also find more information about cruising and travel at my website, thecruiseandtravelguy.com.au, and you can follow me on Facebook and Instagram at thecruiseandtravelguy. Thanks for watching. Stay safe. I'll see you soon. The unprecedented move to put an entire industry on pause was... The unprecedented move to put an entire industry on pause was deemed necessary, and... I can't jump on a cruise ship that same day sitting next to the... I can't jump on a cruise ship that same day sitting next to the people... And that all the cruise travelers. The media love a good cruise bashing. The media love a good cruise bashing session, and there's no doubt that the